the newest red, white, and bluest superheroes dropping in on Kids WB. The Spectacular Man.
From the creators of Shaq's Garage and Roblox Rumble, the show with no audio engineering team. How did they record 10 episodes of this shit and not one person thought to tell Wholesome LTG to fix his mic?
Let's not get hit today.
Nice. She poured Epsom bath salts inside of her actual pussy. Next thing you know, she's riding me. I'm foaming at the mouth, tasting all types of salt. I'm like,
Well, that's because the company that produces these pieces of children's entertainment, Kartoon Studios production company, Kartoon Studios Productions, is the equivalent of Glitch Productions. If Glitch was instead ran by people who think cartoons are still advertisements used to sell cheap plastic and then make said cartoons with cheap plastic. Which isn't too surprising considering the founder of Kartoon Studios and CEO Andy Heyward was the previous CEO of DIC Entertainment. And while I think he still has his, they were known to produce a lot of licensed cartoons, many of which were memed to death in early online spaces because of how unintentionally bad or funny they were. DIC Entertainment, yes, I know you don't pronounce it that way, it's my script, haha, was widely regarded for some of their shows being so bad it was good in terms of enjoyability, and that sort of stuck with their legacy. Whilst Kartoon Studios, the spiritual successor of DIC, on the other hand, is so bad, well, it's... Do I even have this? Like, this is truly what every US cartoon will look like now that PBS is gone. Expect a PragerU Cartoon Channel collab some point soon. Despite their lack in quality of programming, if you have enough money to produce an animated series, considering this company is based in fucking Beverly Hills, Jesus Christ, you can upload the slop to YouTube, and eventually enough kids with booger-infested Cheeto Puff iPads, and you know that shit doesn't have a case on it, will watch it. And for some reason, they all collectively decided to make this their most watched show, Stan Lee's Superhero Kindergarten. And now, dear viewer, this is where my arms are crossed. Upon reading the show's title, you think you would expect a certain celebrity to be the center focus, and you expected right, because Arnold Schwarzenegger is the main character. The Stan Lee in the title actually has a convoluted and weird, and by weird I mean late stage capitalism in its most evil form origin to it. Andy Heyward, when he still had his dick, alright, I'll stop, made a content deal with Stan Lee's now defunct company, POW Entertainment, in July 2003.
POW Entertainment, that's P-O-W exclamation point. The exclamation point is so that it won't read like prisoner of war.
2 years after the company was first founded in November 2001. And 9 months after Stan's previous online company, Stanley Media, which hosted and owned Stanley.net during the .com bubble era of the internet, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and Encino. Under this deal, the two were supposed to produce shows together, many of them being set in the Stanley universe, and by many, I mean all of them. This joint venture would bring about their first project, being the 2014 superhero movie aptly titled Stan Lee's Mighty Seven that premiered on the Hub. And no, not that one, you sick fuck, put down the tissue. So from this shitty straight-to-TV movie that I refuse to watch for the sake of this video,
that motherfucker on swole mode, gotta go!
Kickstarted the Stan Lee Pocket Universe similar to the MCU. It wasn't until July 2020 Andy Heyward would decide that he would go on to create the Stan Lee Universe. Again, a Stan Lee universe future, if you will. Why would he recreate the same failed universe that only had a shitty straight-to-TV movie? Why do I ask questions that I already know the answer to? Well, a part of this new deal, now that Stan is unfortunately no longer with us, Stan Lee Universe LLC, a subsidiary of Kartoon Studios, now owns the global rights to the name, physical likeness, physical signature, live action and animated motion picture, television, online, publishing, comic book, merchandising, and licensing rights to Stan Lee and his IP, creations past, present, and going forward. Also, I might be schizophrenic. They also rebranded YouTube channel Cinematica that does those 107 fact videos on movies with a new Stan Lee twist, since they own the parent company WoW Unlimited, which owns the Frederator MCN. A little fun recommendation for you guys. My favorite video definitely has to be the 7 War of the Worlds facts that you should know. I'd also like to point out how in the press release the term going forward is used, which poses 2 questions in my head. 1, where did you learn the brain transplant technique? And 2, shouldn't this man's estate be suing these people for this? Like, come on, there's no way that this can be legal. You're telling me that they already did what? the most disgusting display of a court you've ever seen. And now it's worse because they're making Stan Lee holograms. Now, calling Andy a greedy scumbag sounds nice. Actually, that does sound really nice. Greedy scumbag, but without proper context as to why I think he is, wouldn't be. I don't want to get sued. I'm aware this kind of decision isn't made in a vacuum. Plenty of lawyers as well as higher ups at Kartoon Studios could have just not opted to buy a dead man's likeness, and I would hope most involved in this transaction have a shred of remorse, but not Chuckle Nuts Andy. And if he is, then he isn't really appearing to convey it well.
Keep my stand puppet with me all the time.
Slip like Freudian, your first and last step to playing yourself like accordion.
Doubling as the spokesperson for his own company, he only ever appears in interviews when money is the main topic. If it ain't about the fucking quarter or earnings or New York Stock Exchange or promoting crypto to kids, dude, what the fuck is Bitcoin Brigade? This guy is a joke. All of Andy's modern press appearances regarding his own company very clearly comes off as him more so not caring about the actual shows he's producing most of the time. You know, something that you're going to need long term for your company to thrive, making sure that people are most engaged with your IPs instead of just blowing the next bubble at them before it bursts in their faces. You'd think someone like Andy, who very clearly doesn't shy away from fully exhibiting his financial prowess. Oh, come on. He likes money. This nigga likes money. He's not gonna fucking sue me. You'd think he wouldn't know how to write an interesting show, and surprisingly, given the prior information, you'd be wrong, as he's one of the co-creators of Inspector Gadget, a cartoon that he rightfully has somewhat of a deep attachment to, as publicly it's his profile picture on Instagram and even references it in his username, because of course he's on Instagram. If he were on Twitter, come on, he'd be ratioed by iShowSpeed GIFs in the first like 5 seconds of opening his account. And while yes, it is the job of the CEO to make sure that the company is actually profiting, the way that Andy goes about doing this are so unethical and are so worthy of criticism. I'm genuinely surprised how he's flown under the public eye for these moral wrongs. Such moral wrongs as helping develop an AI to produce his shows. And just like that, his attachment to Inspector Gadget isn't cute anymore. He really had to ruin it that fast. And in the same article, just blatantly fucking lies, saying that we anticipate savings and accelerated time market while fostering job growth, but then uses AI to create assets for his newest show, Bitcoin Brigade. No, I'm not letting that go. Nigga, did you at Grok on the name of this show too? Good job fostering job growth in the animation industry, dude. At this rate, every self-respecting artist is gonna want to work at your company. Okay, fine. The only reason why I could think the former governor of California would be attached to this show would be because of The Governator, the partially lost animated series featuring Arnold made by POW in 2011. While all episodes of this project, despite a trailer, is lost, the connection between Nigger and Heyward eventually wasn't for this project and would eventually foster what would come out of this show that I'm going to be talking about right now. Keep watching, please.
Stan Lee's Superhero Kindergarten. Tune in this weekend for the exclusive sneak peek on Cartoon Channel.
Cool.
Alright, so off the bat, I'm gonna judge this show based on how it looks because that's the most distracting fucking thing about it. This art style looks like that one gooner who made a website about gooning. It's fine on the eyes, I don't really mind it too much. What I do mind though is the fact that not even 5 minutes in, they can't even make their own art style consistent. They opt for this weird design choice where the main reoccurring characters have colored outlines, but for everyone else, they're drawn with black outlines, making it look like a completely different show when they're put together. Every time a character moves in this show, I hate it. Characters are poorly tweened and often mimic the likes of Go Animate characters just spazzing the fuck out for no reason. Another thing that reminds me of Go Animate regarding this show is the lip syncing. Most of the mouth sync is either delayed by a few frames or is just off entirely and doesn't match what the characters are saying.
This is Mr. O. from the Association of Retired Superheroes.
I knew that. Slow it down.
Environments have very few or barely any background characters. The backgrounds themselves are generic, but nice. There's nothing filling space in this town though. No birds, other than the annoying reoccurring ones. None of the clouds move, no planes, and there's like no commotion in this town at all. It makes you wonder what the fuck they're even saving sometimes. The premise for this show is simple as ever. Arnold had a fight with this supervillain in the first episode, and the dust particles from the fight touched these 6 babies, leaving Arnold powerless. Oh, but the babies.
Not the baby.
Guess what happened to the babies, guys? These babies, after 5 years, would go on to adopt superpowers, with Arnold having to teach them how to control said powers. What is this? Some kind of superhero kindergarten? The team consists of Pedro, the strong one, Patty, who can... what the fuck? Billy! He can create blocks with his mind. Lynn, or Cray Cray.
Girl, why you acting so cray-cray?
She took a bite of the Fude no Mi, and she can bring to life whatever she draws. 2 for 2 with the One Piece references in this video. Let's fucking go. It's getting sticky. Can you tell if they're running out of ideas yet? I sure can. And last but not least, there's Jackson Jet, who can, well, let me just show you. This show needed a hero. And they got one, man. They fucking got one. The first episode does everything required of a first episode to set up the plot of the show, although it's pretty predictable and there are no signs of consequence, which basically sets the entire standard for the show. Arnold just kind of lets these kids do whatever the fuck they want and let them walk all over him. Like, I'm not expecting him to go full-on Governator and start blasting them all with an AK. Some of these little niggas definitely need a card switch to red. Or like a timeout, no recess, fucking take away their animal crackers. I don't know. The whole plot of the show is that Arnold, the retired hero, is supposed to teach them how to become new heroes. I mean, they train in a few episodes, but it doesn't really mean anything. These guys don't act like a team in the face of danger unless they are directly commanded to work as one by Arnold most of the time. They just do stuff by their own volition. There are Stan Lee cameos, but I would hardly constitute these as cameos because, for one, Stan Lee unfortunately doesn't even voice the version of himself in the show, and 2, if he appears in every episode, it isn't really a cameo and he's more of like a reoccurring character. The pilot episode ends in a twist that nobody was expecting at all, with the main villain that Arnold collided with having his own set of super kids, and he's going to train them in order to take over the entire tri-state area, and they aren't even the main threat in the finale that they built them up for. The humor in this is either some corny ass pop culture reference or absurdist gag. Very little of it relies on the characters themselves cracking the jokes through dialogue. Stuff just kind of happens in this show for the sake of absurdist humor. Most of it is kind of too absurd to the point where the joke isn't funny anymore, or where it genuinely has me like, what the fuck, and actually having a laugh. When they do, they're kinda funny. I can't say I haven't chuckled at this, but it's only happened like twice. And you'd think in a show like this, where the characters are in a team, they'd have more of a family dynamic, playfully cracking jokes from time to time, riffing on each other, and while that does happen, most of the jokes just either aren't there or aren't funny. These writers must really have low esteem as to what they're writing on, because sometimes they justify a bad or a corny line with, "Whoa, these writers need to get new material. Haha, I wonder who's writing this." Like, dude, okay, you wrote a bad line. No need to get meta. Can you at least own the fact that you did and not harp on it over and over and over again? Or, I don't know, write better? If you keep having to justify every flop, it comes off more of you being a terrible writer and you being okay with that as long as you get a paycheck. They ultimately just kind of started leaning into the fact that their writing sucks and just made one of the writers a reoccurring gag character. Resolutions to a conflict just sort of fall into place to advance the plot instead of relying on how the characters themselves would actually solve the problem. In episode 7, the main villain wants to get his powers back, and for a character who you'd expect to be this huge threat and have some sort of intelligence, just gets the idea of how he's going to get them back from the plot device machine. I mean the TV with the scientist on it. Said scientist has this Doofenshmirtz-assinator that can transfer the attributes from one animal to another. How do you suppose this evil mastermind gets a hold of said machine? Maybe he plans to have one of his students steal it? Maybe all four in a heist of some sorts? No, he just walks through and steals it along with the professor and kidnaps Green Mr. Incredible and Block Boy. I think what's funny about this is that they didn't even put up a fight. This dude is a powerless old man and successfully kidnaps two superhumans no problem. When the others and Arnold are notified that they're kidnapped, other than them coming together and trying to figure out where they are, Arnold just casually reveals that they have tracking devices in their bodies.
We do? Where did they put them?
You don't want to know.
Nigga, what? Nigga, what? Nigga.
When they get there and have this fight, the machine kills the kids and the villain gets his powers. Is what I would say if this show were fucking awesome, but it's just not. All that build up for nothing, and I want those 22 minutes of my life back. One thing I often find asking myself while watching this show, other than when is it going to fucking end, is who is this for? Well, other than the literal fucking answer, you know what I mean, nigga, like really. The repeated meta humor coupled with fourth wall breaks and pop culture references to shit that none of the children drooling over this garbage with their iPads will understand. My guess is that they want to bridge the gap and have this show appealing for both kids and parents to watch together. And while this practice is extremely common for shows, there's usually a better balance between the two that most seasoned writers do to make up so one demographic doesn't imbalance the other. One show that absolutely stomps the shit out of this show when it comes to that and everything else is Word Girl. A cartoon with a similar concept and targeted audience, but the writers are actually competent of what they do, making the comedy down to earth, giving Becky two key character traits and sticking with them. The attitude of someone with a lot of shit on their plate, being a superhero and ordinary middle schooler, and being a kind person, even to her enemies. This equates to organically funny moments when Becky transforms into Word Girl. A perfect balance in relatability to the targeted demographic for adults and kids to laugh at. These key character traits lay the groundwork for the funny. Writing a cartoon 101, Andy. After watching this show, I genuinely think I developed some kind of brain worm or something. After the two-parter Christmas special, they just start straying further and further away from everything they set up with the big bad in the first 9 episodes. The kids just become superheroes and start going on generic missions. For some reason, the writers just got lazy and started doing Scooby-Doo Guess Who and fucking bringing in these guests. They just have an episode where Arnold just plays as himself in his regular voice. They also meet Penn and Teller.
Ghosts? Spirits?
Shut the fuck up!
Which genuinely got me to start watching Penn and Teller's bullshit clips in the middle of watching this. Thanks for recommending me a better show, I guess. Stan Lee's Superhero Kindergarten was banished to the realm of cartoons with only 1 season, as no further seasons were announced as of writing this. And probably won't be, because Kartoon Studios definitely seems more like a mass-produced factory for entertainment, rather than a studio of creatively driven individuals who prioritize the stories animation can tell and not the benefits that reap afterwards. And their most popular show is without a doubt representative of what they are. Uncreative. I mean, come on, their name is literally just cartoon spelt with a K. All of their shows either have the cheap Hollywood tactic of featuring a popular celebrity or just looking like a cheap advertisement used to sell toys. Truly the Crabio Mondays of animated production companies. I would hope whatever these guys make next is something filled with passion so they could be named amongst the greats, but that just doesn't seem like anything that they're interested in. Oh well, let the trash continue, I guess. Not like they have any notoriety because of their originals anyway, and are mostly focused with their acquired programming for their fast channel and app that they would not stop shoving down my throat every time I opened a new episode of this. Make sure to tune in and get animated for when I review their next show. Bitcoin Brigade. No.